That it's currently at $3,809.02 out of $5,000. So it needs a little over $1,000 to be played around with Oracle of Seasons. And our current donation total is $195,147.03. Thank you all for your generous donations. Now we do have a grand prize for this marathon. If you donate $35 or more throughout the event, it doesn't have to be all in one donation, unlike the block prizes. You will be eligible for a Wii U and 3DS XL, and the 3DS XL will have a custom design by somethingartistic.net.
That's weird. Oh. All right. Okay. So, 3, 2, 1, go.
As you may have noticed, the sound is a little bit advanced for the Game Boy Color. They added extra hardware into the cartridge to support extra sound channels.
For those of you not familiar with this game, this is Shantae for the Game Boy Color. It was released in 2002, a year after the Game Boy Advance came out.
It had a very limited publishing, only about 15,000 copies, so it's very rare. Yeah, all these cannonballs are random, and he's getting creamed by them. The only ones that aren't random are the ones that are breaking the planks, so those at least he knows where they're going to show up. Wow.
Wow, yeah, so that was pretty bad luck for the first screen, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah. There's a lot of health on the next map.
But, so the plot is Shantae is a guardian genie of a little fishing town, and it gets attacked by pirates. And this is their boss, Risky Boots. She's here to steal a steam engine. The first level's pretty straightforward. There's a little bit of manipulating the enemies, so you don't have to kill them. and some platforming.
The music doesn't waste any time getting amazing.
Now, is this soundtrack also by Vert?
Yes.
So there's actually like a high path and a low path sometimes in this level, and if you take the wrong one, there's actually unavoidable hits. So sometimes it'll go high, sometimes it'll go low, depending on which way has an avoidable hit or no enemies. So the first part's pretty easy because there's this cycle of platforms. It's pretty hard to catch like the super early cycle. I got the early cycle. And then there's the regular cycle. So Risky's little Tinkerbats just blow up a house. It's kind of rude. This is where we learn what she's after, a steam engine that Shantae's adoptive uncle has just invented from some old diagrams he found in a ruin.
As we'll find out shortly, Shantae lied to the townspeople. She's not actually a full genie, she's only a half genie, which poses a bit of a problem. She's at a bit of a power gap with the villain.
Yeah. Risky Boots has an infinite supply of Tinkerbats. Shantae can whip her hair.
The hair whip is a very awkward attack. It's similar to the whip in Castlevania 1, but has a bit of a shorter distance.
And it comes from the top of your head instead of like arm length,
Yeah.
the arm position. So this is the first boss. It's pretty straightforward. We're about to see a very advanced speed technique though, as you'll find out in just a second.
On your first playthrough of this game, recommend you get away from the hair whip as soon as possible. There are plenty of consumable item weapons that you can use, as well as some extra gear, which is rather expensive, but gems are not hard to earn in this game. And the other attacks are far more versatile than the basic hair whip.
So as you can see, I'm doing a lot of butt wiggling. The more butt wiggling you do, the better you run. It's been statistically proven. So as you can see,
they kept the
trying
wiggle
to optimize
in
it.
the second game too.
You have to hit each of these windows 4 times. There's superstition that if the same window opens repeatedly, it's like faster by a few frames, but we haven't actually recorded the frames and compared them. It doesn't really matter because you have no control.
All right, we've got some cutscenes here, and then the day and night counter will start. This game operates on day and night, and they are each 2 minutes and 18 seconds long. He needs to go as fast as possible from here to the halfway point of the game where there's a bottleneck.
Yeah. So here, you find out that Shantae, again, like you said, lied to the town and is really only a half genie. A weird thing about text in this game is you have to hold the B button down, then let go of it and hit it again to scroll to the next text. So you have to actually memorize the entire script so you know when the best time to let go of the B button is and hit it again. Now would be a good time for donations.
Okay, well, we have $5 from Patrick Benke. He says, great job with marathon thus far. Woo, I expect that you crush your PB today, and don't forget, the Misfits stand behind you. Hashtag monkey, monkey, monkey. Runner's choice. You can come up with your choice later. And we have $50 from Alexis Bingessner, also known as Ginkro. Shouts to Woo for playing Shantae. Be sure to make the night cycle and buy Risky something nice so that she doesn't go infinite on you. Also, please do some gecko races. You know you want to. Hopefully this comment has distracted everyone long enough for Woo to make it out of the building with Johan's cartridge so that he can retire like a king. If that somehow isn't the case, the donation goes to Woo's choice.
Yeah, the gecko races are the best way to make money in this game. it will not be used for the any percent route, but when 100% is routed, they'll be included heavily. Because to get everything in the game requires a lot of money, several times the maximum you can carry.
So this is Scarecrow Field. It's probably the worst map in the entire run. Not going to the right, but when we have to come back, because the enemies are RNG, and right now I don't care about my health, but I will on the return trip. And if I take too many hits, I'll have to heal, which is very slow. This map's pretty free, so we can read some more donations.
Okay. We have $10 from Ben Kember, known as Twinkle Toes. He says, Link's Awakening Hype. We have $35.55 from Ian Watkins, also known as Nye255. Been enjoying the wide variety of games done quick by SDA over the years, and it's especially spiffin' seeing someone step up to speedrun Shantae after so long. To which I say, full speed ahead, half genies, my body's ret to go.
This game needs a lot more attention than it gets. It's unfortunate it had such a small publishing. Very charming game with a lot of good gameplay.
It also has like a really interesting speedrunning history. Like Tassers were looking at it a long time ago, and then some people did some preliminary runs without much routing, and I started routing this game, and Johan here came into my chat and was like, oh hey, I'm routing this game too. Like just circumstantially at the same time.
Coincidentally started routing this game in depth at exactly the same time and didn't know about each other, and then we ran into each other and we found like opposite sets of things, so it made the run that much better.
And we still find like little things now and again.
We're to the point now where we're optimizing for small things that will save frames as opposed to seconds. Which isn't to say this execution is going to be perfect, but the run is pretty difficult.
So a fun fact about entering towns, you can just like move after you start entering a town.
I was going to save the game here. This is not a safety save. This is something that will pay off later.
All right. We'll talk about why this save happened more after the second labyrinth. But right now we got to go talk to Bolo. Bolo's a pretty cool guy. He's got his priorities straight.
Am I good to read some more donations?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have $150 from Jake Smith. Hey guys, third year watching now. Finally got a day off work to sit and watch all day. Always good fun watching runs, all these games, and even more fun finding more and more fun games I never knew existed. Keep up all the great runs for this great cause. Runner's choice. $80 from Nicholas Benzie. So that's how you go fast in Mighty Switch Force. Great run. Noting for Ricky because I hate moosh. We have $20 from Xavier McFadden.
The big thing about this waterfall map, waterfall is a very difficult map for anyone playing the game for the first time. Oh, it's a good time for the night. A little late, but or a little early, but not too bad. This has a lot of blind jumps. Blind jumps are a big thing in this game because of large sprite size and small viewport. So jumps like that from the tops of cliffs. A lot of the jumps are blind, so it's all memorization and visual cues.
Yeah, lots of visual cues and memorization. It's like, this run is really weird because it's like a blend between a platformer run, an RPG run, a Zelda run, a Metroidvania run. There's a little bit of all of it.
It's a Genie Troidvania.
Genie Troidvania.
Night and day, by the way, they continue to pass during everything except the pause menu and in towns. They'll continue to advance during dialogue and also in dungeons. So Wu doesn't get any breaks at all from here to the halfway point of the game.
So we're entering the first labyrinth here. It's called Dribble Fountain. There's 4 labyrinths in the game. They're like Zelda dungeons. I'm gonna get a power up in each one that lets me progress and also do a big glitch eventually. All the pots in a labyrinth are set for what they will drop, so we know exactly where we can pick up more health, we can get the money we need for the run. We don't need a lot.
Intentional.
Yeah, I need to drop lives for a game over later, and dying is one of the fastest ways of healing. If everything
heard
goes
right.
well, we'll only heal by killing ourselves or picking up hearts.
Yeah, you heard right, this game does have a game over abuse.
There's a little RNG on how far this enemy moves. This is the highest. All the RNG is kind of stacked at the beginning and the end of the run. There are a number of things we'll see in this labyrinth that are RNG.
There's the first 20 gem. We'll need 100 gems over the course of the run to buy the items we need to make the game as fast as possible.
I just
They're
picked
all
up
in
a warp
fixed
squid.
locations.
We need 4 warp squids to unlock a dance. You can get a dance in each town if you give 4 warp squids to the squid hut. And the dance we're going to get at the next town we go to will save a lot of time.
It allows you to warp to the town where you unlock the dance, and that saves a lot of overworld backtracking.
So those symbols on the wall are RNG, and the starting position of these
Nice.
tiles is RNG.
So this is, the speedrunner has to improvise this solution very quickly.
Those like lobster guys are RNG too. They can do like one of 3 things. If they really want to, they can hit you. But they're usually pretty nice. Nice.
That was a very tight jump to avoid getting shocked by
So I'm
that
gonna kill these 2
platform.
guys because I have to walk through there 3 times, and stopping to kill them is faster than getting hit 3 times. As much as we like to damage boost in this game.
Yeah, he is trying to drop health here eventually. Not right now, but pretty soon he'll want to start dropping health. Anyone who's played this game for any length of time would be very familiar with this labyrinth theme. As playing the game the first time, the labyrinths do get you pretty lost.
That's why they call them
Another
labyrinths.
20 gem. Now is the point where he wants to start dropping health to get ready for a death abuse.
But first we gotta go a little out of the way for a warp squid.
Each dungeon has 5 warp squids. You need 4 to unlock warp dance. So thankfully 4 are available right in the first dungeon, which is the most convenient place to get them. Each dungeon has 1 warp squid that you can't get when you first visit it. It requires something you get later to access it.
So this next segment's pretty dangerous. We'll see.
Yeah, he's trying not
goes.
to die too early here. Good. Oh,
Yeah,
Alright, he's
you
on-
only have like a few frames to not get damaged on that guy.
This guy
Usually
is-
this guy's pretty nice.
is he?
Yeah.
Yep, he gave you the best pattern.
He gave me the safe pattern, not the
Uh-huh.
fastest. And he can block as long as he wants. Only 3 blocks is about standard.
So, about subscribing, it not only gives you the faces that are posted on the Twitch channel.
Oh boy.
in a row.
Of course this would happen on this run.
The trolling.
Oh my god.
5 in a row on that. That's a glitch that happens sometimes, and that's the most I've ever seen it happen.
I've seen worse.
And his health right now is at 1. A single hit will kill him. There's no real damage sources that he'll run into here until he wants to die. Dying puts you back at the start of a room, like where you entered the room you're in. And he entered this room far up the left side, so dying will save him having to climb the left side of the room again, and it also is conveniently a nice place to dump a life. because he'll have to game over later, as we mentioned.
So this is the first power-up we get. The run gets a lot more technical as you get more of these transformations. The first one's a monkey, and it moves slightly faster. It has a smaller hitbox. It can wall jump and climb on walls. So it's the most used form in the run.
We do have
just
to
for all the
consider
mobility
whether it's
options.
worth it though, because shapeshifting takes 5 seconds and unshifting takes 2 seconds. So in each shapeshift we have to save more than 7 seconds. Some are just required though.
There's our third warp squid.
But he'll be spending a lot of time in the run as monkey form.
Am I good to read off now?
Yeah, he's just backtracking through the dungeon. One more warp squid to pick up and then go to the boss. So go ahead.
You can read some donations.
All right. As I was saying, you not only get Twitch exclusive Twitch faces from the subscription, but also all of the subscription, all of the $4.99 is donated to Doctors Without Borders after the end of this event. And we have $20 from Richard Butler. And we have $20 from Kaylee Nielsen, known as Usiku. She says, this $20 is to ask Wuqinglong to sing the monkey song, which he in his chat once had me sing for 20 straight minutes. Now that I've had my revenge, good luck with your lewd game, Wu. Talk to you soon, sweetie.
Oh man. Yeah, they're jumping all over the place right now.
Yeah, both of these guys are RNG, and I want them to both go in the corner down there.
Yeah.
One of them's okay. Oh no. Uh-oh. All right, we're good.
He's got him on lock now. It took a little while to get to the good position, but
I'm gonna
he
have
wants
to
him
pick
in
up
that
a heart
corner so
now.
he can, yeah. And they can take as long as they want to get there.
All right, so
Sometimes I
there's
just wanna
a
jump all over
relatively
the place.
difficult infinite combo coming up on this boss. And by the way, if anyone knows the name of this boss, like the official name, or has a good name for it, like let me know, because it bothers me that like I have no names for the bosses I fight.
So technical boss fight, there's 3 different timings for when you're supposed to hit the eyeball. Oh, okay, that's like third best possible boss fight.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Oh wait, we need more butt wiggles. I was being suboptimal.
Each boss fight wants you to use the dungeon item, the shapeshift dance that you got. In this boss fight, if you don't hit him as quickly as Wu hit him, he'll go into a phase where he makes water rise up from the floor and you use monkey form to climb the walls to avoid it. So this is probably the most threatening overworld trip. Well, one of the two. It's got a long backtrack to the next town, and health is pretty important here.
Yeah, so we're gonna run back through Spider Forest. Again, it's fairly easy besides this first jump, so we can read some more donations.
Okay. We have $20 from Nicholas Johansson, better known as P&D. Hey Wu, P&D here. Glad Shantae made it to SGDQ, and glad you are here to entertain us. Good luck, one hand. For everyone watching, when Wu says something along the lines of "that was bad," say, "Well, excuse me, princess." Keep up the great marathon. We have $35 from Istaroon. Loving seeing Shantae getting some well-deserved attention. I backed Half Genie Hero for an embarrassing amount of money, so why not donate in Shantae's name to great cause? Let's get Doctors Without Borders ready to go.
Oh.
Yeah, this is probably the most attention this game has ever received.
So that was really bad. I got hit right off the bat. I want to have 2 hearts coming out of this map,
yeah.
or else I'm gonna have to heal, which is very slow.
This map is kind of a big deal. If he takes too much damage here, it will waste time.
Oof. Brain perfect.
They're going in.
Okay.
The gremlins popping out of the ground, he wants them to pop out like a set distance in front of him.
All right, we're
Not too
good.
close, not too far away. because if they're too close, they'll hit him with their body, and if they're too far away, they'll hit him with their spears. This is one of the hardest maps for somebody on their first playthrough because these Naga shoot homing shots. Very difficult to avoid, and the Naga have kind of a difficult pattern of movement, so they're tricky to hit. This map is just all around really difficult the first time through. Our speedrun route takes between 2 and 3 damage depending on what health we expect to have at the start. He has only 1 health left, so a death abuse here to refill his health.
I have to be really careful now because this is all the health I get until I reach the second labyrinth. Getting hit there doesn't really matter.
He has 0 lives left. It would be very bad if he died.
I'm gonna get a warp though, and then if I died, it wouldn't be so big a deal. But we don't want to.
That's true.
There are a lot of backup strats for a no reset run, so it's kind of nice. You don't have to worry about too much.
This map is the scorpions move in somewhat random patterns, so you can get trolled pretty hard sometimes.
No, don't do it.
This is pretty good though.
Yeah.
Good health. Lots of things to do in this town.
Yeah, I'm gonna be getting the warp dance. I'm going to be buying items I use to sequence break and just save a lot of time. And I'm gonna talk to the NPC that'll let me into the next labyrinth.
The items you're buying, the exit candy, allows you to exit a dungeon instantly, which will save us time. He's gonna buy 3 of them. 2 of those are used to get from far into a dungeon back to the start, and 1 is used to sequence break.
Don't worry about the fact that I'm giving the squid babies to the wrong mother. They're going to a loving home.
Yeah, the mothers can't really tell the difference between their babies and other mothers' babies. So there's 5 mama squids and a whole bunch of baby squids, and it doesn't really matter who you give them to. A squid is a squid.
Am I good to read some more donations?
Yep.
We have another donation from Austin Ivan Smith for $10. He says, Austin from Way Forward again. I wish I could stay up to watch this Shantae run. Man, 5 a.m. here. Hey, what about us? Because the expertise and passion shown by you guys is amazing and inspiring. Can't wait to see this once it's archived, and as it will be watched extensively around the office. Thanks for the love and appreciation for Shantae, and I hope you run it again next year. Also, if you want to know boss names or other Shantae trivia, hit up the creator Matt Bozon on Twitter, @Mr. Bozon.
Release it on Steam so we can run the sequel.
Yes, please.
We're waiting.
Yeah, and that's Mr. as an MR Bozon, and also
Not
kudos
yet.
to playing it on the GameCube GBA player. And we have $5 from Sean Perrault. He said, that one over there. This better be a good run, Woo. I didn't not go to bed for a crap run. Good luck and monkey, monkey, monkey.
This is a pretty good run so far. He's on a good pace to hit the early night.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that matters, is reaching the halfway point of the game during the earliest night we can.
Indeed.
If you miss that early night, it's a 2-minute, 18-second penalty.
So back in town, we talked to Sky, who's Shantae's friend, who she never ever runs into. Shantae's not a very good friend, but that's all right because she's gonna save the world. And Sky has the ability to summon infinite gusts of wind. I don't know if anyone noticed. I just thought it was odd.
Apart from the important bottleneck in the middle of the game, night and day affect a few things. There's 3 enemies that behave differently in day than they do in night. And also, all enemies have twice as much health during the night. Other than that, they're not really more threatening. So just left the ladies' desert. Now we're going to the men's desert.
Yes, the Scorpion people have very strict societal hierarchy, I guess. We're pretty good. It's very unlikely that anything bad can happen on this map, and then we have health if we need it. shortly afterwards.
The men's desert has much more even terrain, so it's easier to navigate.
Ooh. So I'm going to take another hit on purpose because I want to be at 1 heart. If I'm not at 2 hearts, I want to be at 1 heart entering the goal of mine so that I can pick up a heart and be at 2 hearts, which is
Also,
optimal.
Sky mentioned this bird's name was Wrench, and we're about to find out why.
We have a $7 donation from Colin Stonerook. Good morning, speedrunners and audience. This is the speedrun I've been waiting to see all week. Shantae is amazing. Hashtag belly dancing for a good cause. And put this donation towards suplexing the train.
There are no trains to suplex in this game. Also, one thing it's important to mention here. Pots in dungeons, while they're fixed drops, they never respawn unless you leave the dungeon and come back. So for anyone playing the game for the first time, like healing is kind of limited in the dungeons in that respect.
You'll notice I changed color. The labyrinth's gimmick is magnetism, so there are certain enemies that react to you in certain ways based on what polarity you have.
So the chest right here is blue, so it will be attracted to Shantae instead of repelled into the corner.
Now you can transform while picking up keys. I don't do it in this labyrinth anymore because I've hard-locked the game doing that. Only in this labyrinth.
So far, the other ones are safe.
Yeah.
Our friend the moth.
We've set
depends.
ourselves up for failure now.
Yeah, the next room also has some enemies that react to magnetic polarity. If he's the opposite color, they will not attack, but if he's blue in this case, they will send a surge of lightning down, and it's impossible to avoid.
Ow. So that was the scariest room in the labyrinth. This one is, I think it's the shortest one, and
Yeah,
fairly straightforward.
These horizontal gate platforms here react to magnetism as well. This is the first dungeon wasn't too bad. This one will get you really lost your first time through. Another blue chest with a key in it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of extra rooms we don't go into because you only need 2 to go to the boss, and then there's a bunch of extra stuff.
There's several rooms in the dungeon that you require a key to get into, but all they do is give you a life and then another key. Right now he's very deep in this dungeon, so this is the first time an exit candy will be useful because the next stop after getting this next dance is right near the start of the dungeon.
Yeah, I'm like in the way bottom
So
left of the dungeon, and I need to go all the way up to the top.
Using this exit candy saves a good bit of backtracking.
And we got the elephant power. It's just used for smashing obstacles.
The game also has an interesting set of enemy weaknesses in some places. Some enemies are weak to the elephant charge, some enemies are weak to certain weapons, but there's not really a whole lot of logic behind some of it. Okay, this pot respawns, so there's the last money he ever needs to get in this game.
And I'm about to fight the worst enemies in this labyrinth.
Yeah.
The real boss.
Right now he is just entered the dungeon freshly, so he doesn't have a magnetic polarity. If you don't have magnetism because you've just entered the dungeon, the game will give you the favorable outcome for every instance where magnetism is important.
Oh no.
So he does not want to get grabbed by this magnet. This magnet guy, he won't hurt you, but he will give you a color.
And he just jumps around
He
randomly.
just grabs you and shakes you and magnetizes you somehow.
We have a $5 donation from Johnny Vanda. Says the fact that no one is doing a Shantae-style belly dance makes me sad face. No 5 a.m. excuses. Keep up the great work for such a great cause.
I hope you realize you asked for that. Okay, right now Wu is at 0 lives and 1 health. He is 1 hit away from a game over.
Oh no. Okay, I didn't soft lock the game. Or I mean hard lock the game. Sometimes I forget because I want to go fast.
Thankfully, there's not really any damage sources from here until the boss.
So I'm climbing back up the chute there because if you've played this game, you know there's a key door to your right and a key door to your left.
That's one of those areas where it'll like give you an extra life for being in there, but
So we save having to get another
Yeah.
key by just climbing back up the way we came and just exiting out of the door we already opened. There's a really inconsistent trick coming up that only saves 6 seconds, and there's like not any, we can't figure it out. I've spent a couple hours trying to figure out if there's some kind of setup, but basically what happens is there's an elevator coming up and you can just fall right through it. Hopefully I'll get it.
you can be slightly
Nope.
ahead of, oh, not there. You can be slightly ahead of where that elevator spawns and just,
It just doesn't load its collision.
second boss.
This boss is pretty easy unless you get greedy, and then you're like pretty much guaranteed to die. So
On your first time through this game, this boss is kind of a puzzle. It's not really clear what you're supposed to do to him. But he can be defeated very, very quickly.
this guy needs a name too. Like, what do I call him? Big rock guy with hands. So I played it safe there and waited an extra cycle. Whoa.
How are you? That was interesting. You weren't on his hand anymore.
Yeah, I like jumped by accident.
You were on like the side of his face. I've never seen that. All
So
right,
there's-
he's safe now.
Yeah, there's another glitch that we don't want to happen that could happen if I'm not careful. There are certain cacti in the desert maps that if you walk left into, you become invincible. You have 0 hearts, and the only way to die is through instant death.
Yeah.
If I jump
it-
onto the cactus, though, I'll actually die, and that's what I want.
Yeah,
Because when you
this is,
game over, you keep everything you had at that point, and it just sets your position back to the last place you saved.
So I remember when we saved in Watertown, this flung him all the way across the overworld to the closest point to the next dungeon.
And since we're on a pretty good pace, if you're somehow running behind on the day-night cycle, you can save there again, reset the console, and then proceed to just do these maps as normal, and you'll always make the correct cycle. This map's
This
pretty
is the
boring.
last hard overworld section in the game. There's a few maps coming up that are really, really difficult. The swamp especially, which is a bunch of very,
Yeah.
very narrow platforms, and every jump is blind, so it's a big chunk of memorization.
We can have some donations, though, until we hit the swamp.
Okay, well, for those of you just joining us, this is Summer Games Done Quick 2014, hosted by Speed Demos Archive and Speedruns Live. Speed Demos Archive is the premier source of video game speedruns, and we have runs of over 1,000 games. There's also Speedruns Live, which is the place to race. Players of all skill levels are welcome to join, whether it's playing racing with your friends casually or trying to improve at a game. Go to speedrunslive.com for more information and to watch some really great speedrunner streams.
These snails are one of the 3 enemies that react day and night. During the night, as you see, they are inside their shells, and that was a little early, I think. Was that okay on the night cycle?
That's fine.
Okay. This is the swamp. And it's horrible. I've practiced this map so many times.
Yeah, this is probably the hardest map in terms of platforming.
You ideally want to do this without turning back at all, but if you have to, you can save yourself. An interesting quirk about Shantae's movement, as soon as you're in the air, you're committed to your movement speed. So if you were walking, you'll have walking speed in the air until you land. Same thing with running speed, but you can turn on a dime. This is the last map before the bottleneck. The reason there's a bottleneck here is because the zombie caravan is next, and it will only appear during the night. If he reaches the end of this particular screen, and it's during the day, he will skip over the entrance to the zombie caravan and go to the next map instead. And he should have enough time to make it. But we're nearing the end of the night here. He's probably in like the last quarter of the night.
Oh no, it's a lot longer than you think. Because I've had like a similar time where I've died on Swamp twice and I've still made it, so.
Yeah, so a lot of the pressure of the run is off now because he's made the bottleneck in the middle of the run. So day and night really mean nothing from this point on.
So I'm gonna buy my two last items. One is to save like 5 seconds, another is necessary to beat the last boss.
Fireballs and pike balls are really convenient weapons in this game, and they're pretty cheap.
So this next segment coming up is really weird. This NPC, Roddy Top, she won't help you get into the next labyrinth until you race her, and you have to bet your brains. The physics in the race are completely different from anywhere else in the game. Basically, Shantae kind of acts like a car where she has to accelerate, and there are a bunch of obstacles. Think Mega Man 8, jump, jump, slide, slide. And if you hit one early on, you can recover, but if you hit one later, you lose, and you lose a minute, and you have to redo the race.
The slides under the trees are not too bad because you have until you hit the tree to slide, but the blocks are the worst. You have to jump as soon as they come on screen or you will hit them. And this is a fixed pattern, it's memorization. But it can still psych you out. Because you lose a minute if you lose this race.
Many runs have gone to die here.
Nice.
All right. So, most of the hard parts of the run are over. There's some stuff towards the end, but the rest is fairly safe.
You can breathe easy now.
And
He does have to do the swamp
there's
in
more
reverse,
tricks towards
but
the
it's
end,
not
though,
as high pressure as it was
surprisingly.
the first time.
I'm gonna have to run back to the Cackle Mound that I passed so we can have some more donations for these overworld segments.
Or not. Another thing that's a feature of day and night is that there are, I think, either 10 or 12, I can never remember. There are a bunch of fireflies that only appear during the night. If you find all of them, you
get a
can
really
learn another
useless dance.
which will heal you in exchange for gems. And it's actually more efficient to use that dance than to buy the healing items in the game. But not by very much. And it's not really possible to get the dance before like the end of the game anyway. Okay, it's the end of the swamp and now entering the Cackle Mound. Roddy has an interesting way of unlocking this dungeon.
It's not as good as Wrench, though. So this is the Cackle Mound. It sort of has this weird stealth gimmick that we won't be using, where if you like hide in these shadowed parts of the labyrinth, you can't get hit. And it also has these weird eyeball puzzles that are one of the worst things in the run, in my opinion.
Yeah, you'll notice as Shantae moves past some areas, her sprite will go completely black, and that's when you're invincible.
So I picked up that warp squid just to open up that passage, because I'll be going through there multiple times. we don't use that squid. It just kind of sits in the inventory for the rest of the run.
These slopes trap you in a lower part of the dungeon. That's the reason for the next exit candy. You would need to get another key, open another door, get another key, open another door before the game would let you back into the main part of the dungeon. Instead, just get the first key, use an exit candy to break the sequence of the dungeon, which skips the 2 worst rooms in the dungeon. The
Basically.
longest eyeball maze, which takes forever, and the worst eyeball statue socket puzzle, which actually forces you to put the eyeball on a shelf above the floor before you even get into the statue. And I can see a new player of this game to be stuck there an hour or 2, just trying to get that stupid eyeball in the socket.
Yeah, basically a third of the dungeon just gets
Jump.
skipped.
That's an easy jump to forget there.
Yeah, there's a button down there that'll make these spikes pop out of the ground and hurt you.
Yeah, there's very well hidden, they're not really obvious. It took us a while to notice them. There's pressure plates on the floor, and they will make those kind of web-like spikes pop out of the ground. Some of them are fake. There's one room that has quite a bit of fake ones, but most of them are a concern.
So this has a very subtle hint. See if you can find it. I have seen many players take an hour or 2 to figure out this puzzle. I solved it by dumb luck my first time.
You have to make the statue look at the other statue. Each time you put the eyeball in the socket, it rotates 90 degrees. So you have to do it 4 times.
Nope.
Here's the room with a whole bunch of pressure plates, and half of these are fake.
Yeah. I didn't notice them for like my first 7 playthroughs of this game.
Oh!
That's fine. You can save
Yeah.
it.
Those eyeballs that act as kind of a directional elevator. One of the rooms we skipped has a whole bunch of those, and you have to pick your way through a maze that is pretty gigantic. It's a really dumb room, and I'm glad we don't have to do it. I'm sure some people can think of some Zelda games where that was a thing. Coming up is the reason he bought the flash bolts.
Yeah, there's this mini boss that looks like another enemy, but is actually coded as a completely different enemy. That normally takes 10 hits.
Found this
and it'll
completely
take
at random.
2 with flash bolts.
This enemy dies to 2 flash bolts, but other enemies, like the other Batgirls in this game, do not die to 2 flash bolts. Instead, they die to 2 elephant charges. This is a kind of a dumb boss.
It's a very dumb
It's
boss. You can hit him
really
5
easy
times
and
at that
takes-
beginning, but if
yeah.
you miss the first hit, you can only get 4, but it throws off all the timing. And you just have to hit him 16 times. And
It's really
he
easy
can't
and
attack
long.
you, because if you attack him before he attacks you, he just moves.
Also, the only time this music is ever heard in the game. Mid-air butt wiggle.
Optimal.
Now, once again, just as in the last dungeon, he's deep inside the dungeon, and the next destination is near the start. So this is where he'll use the last exit candy.
Yeah, if you look at a map, you're kind of way, way at the bottom, and you need to go way, way to the top right, and it's only a few maps away from the
There
entrance.
used to be 6 exit candies in the run, but we timed a bunch of it, and there were new things found that made them obsolete. Which makes the money route simpler.
Yeah, before we were doing gecko races, which is essentially RNG gambling to get a bunch of money, to get a bunch of items. But then the run kind of went down to basically, to make this run low percent, you just have to not buy items, and that's the only difference. So Spider's ability, besides being really, really slow and allowing us to do a glitch later, is to climb on certain walls, which is necessary to complete this labyrinth. And we used to think necessary for one part of the overworld. It isn't any longer, but there are other parts of the overworld.
Well, there is one
it
part of
still
the world
is.
where we
Yeah.
still need to use it, but Spider is actually a way to find quite a few of the overworld secrets.
These eyeballs are the biggest trolls, but once you have them set up, they can't troll you anymore.
Each of the animal forms, except for the elephant, kind of comes with its charge, but each of the animal forms really doesn't come with an attack. And there's 4 items you can get that will give each animal form an attack. We considered getting the monkey claw to save, because there's a lot of puzzles that require hitting something, and the monkey doesn't have an attack normally, so you have to do a lot of shape-shifting to go through narrow passages and then hit something, or climb walls and then hit something. And the monkey claw does save quite a bit of time, but it's just barely not worth it, which makes me sad because the monkey claw is a cool item and it makes one of the bosses a lot quicker and less boring.
That's about 10 seconds slower to get it, if everything goes optimally.
The route used to get the harpy talon, which is 10 times more powerful than Shantae's hair whip against a lot of enemies. But the overworld route changed, and now the harpy talon is far out of the way.
So this next boss coming up also doesn't have a name. It really bothers me. Mostly because he's really RNG, and things that are really RNG I like to name. I need to transform basically as soon as it will let me amidst a ton of lag, and even then, if he really wants to, he can get an attack off before I can get him into his damage pattern, like this pattern of damaging him. It's
Ooh,
also
nice.
RNG which way he faces and walks. One way is better than another if he's on the edges. And if you don't, you could fight him regularly, but dropping him in these holes only takes 5 hits, whereas like anything else takes like some ludicrous amount, like 30.
I call this guy Fluffy. One more hit should do it.
We can get a few more butt wiggles.
Every butt wiggle increases your odds of good RNG, right?
Yeah, it's the opposite of MB luck.
Well, the last boss has a gun we call the RNG gun because she can shoot it as many times as she wants. I've seen up to 18 shots, and more butt wiggles depletes her ammo.
This is the first time he's going to use the dance that he learned in Oasis Town to warp back there. It saves a massive amount of overworld backtracking.
So we have $5 from Magnus von Goes Karlstrom. They're known as Kennyman666. Really good game that I'm currently replaying on the 3DS. One of the runs that I've been looking forward to this marathon, and one of the few in that category that is not at total butts o'clock. Maybe in Europe. I'm
But wiggles o'clock. Correction.
I'm silently cursing the schedule maker, but don't tell him that. Whoops. Money goes to Buyout Commando 100% because he can never have enough grappling hooks. I agree with that, and I'll be doing Rearmed 100% at ESA.
Speaking of the DS Virtual Console release of this game, go get it. Support Way Forward. This game is extremely rare in a cartridge form, but it has been released on the DS Virtual Console, so
Yeah, you can pay
readily
$5
available.
or $300. It's your choice.
It might be the 3DS, I'm not positive.
I think it's 3DS and DSi Shop. Don't quote me on that though.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap on the eShop.
And Way Forward is also making a Kickstarter-backed new Shantae game. I can't remember the exact name of it, but
Half
it's going
Genie Hero.
Yeah, Half Genie Hero, and it's going to be released in Steam and some other downloadable services. So
Oh,
look
you can
forward to
avoid
that.
damage
And
there.
actually, former Way Forward developers are they just released Shovel Knight. If you want to support former Way Forward developers, I would go check out Yacht Club Games.
Boo's taken a bit of damage, but at this point there are some lives to spare. That skipping the spider use there is something we figured out earlier tonight. I don't know why
The
we never
newest
thought
trick
of
in
it.
the
It's
run.
obvious, but we always use the spider there. And you don't even have, that would like
Okay.
cost an extra,
So now we
7
meet the
seconds.
most helpful NPC in the game. Look at that face. That's a face you can trust.
I don't know, Wu, I'm not feeling it.
What's the worst that could happen? She's gonna open the
I
next
think you're
labyrinth
being
for
a little
us.
too trusting here.
Look, innocent until proven
That
guilty.
that face seems a little familiar to me.
No, we've never seen this person in our life. So I'm gonna play a little risky here because I have lives to spare. No pun intended. And I can make it through the next segment with this health, but it's very dangerous and RNG based. Actually, you know what? On second thought, I'm just gonna kill myself to heal on the next map.
This is the one time in the overworld where you need the spider to advance the main story. It is possible to leave a dungeon early after getting the dance and before beating the dungeon boss and get all the way to the next town. We tried that. Unfortunately, they saw through that. If you go to the next town before beating the current boss, the town's gates will be locked.
And unlike a Zelda game, we unfortunately don't have any like weird clips we can do to bypass any triggers.
So this game is almost entirely natural route, except for a few skips inside dungeons.
Yeah, this next labyrinth, the final labyrinth, Twinkle Palace, has the most tricks and like skips out of any labyrinth because
It's
we
the-
have the most tools at this point
You
in the
might
run.
say it's the coolest dungeon.
Oof.
It's late, I can't be more imaginative than that.
So we do have Shantae Perlers available as a prize during this game.
There's not much time left, we're almost done with the game.
Yeah. And one of them is a monkey perler, and one of them is a perler of Shantae herself. And if you donate $5 or more during this run, you will be eligible to win both perlers.
There's many blocks of ice in this dungeon. Each of them contains this roulette of enemies we've seen before in the game. The most efficient, since he's already has to be in elephant form to break the block, is the rock golem, which dies to one hit in elephant form. The
Sometimes you
Batgirl-
get hit when you
Yeah.
open the block. I don't know why.
They're comparable. If you let her go, the Batgirl can kind of cause trouble. She jumps around a lot.
And she takes twice as many hits.
Oh,
Twice. That's
Interesting.
really weird. Well, I have a lot of health to spare, so.
We have 2 new donations. One from Jim Havey, here known as Havoc81. First time seeing Shantae, and it looks pretty fun. Glad I stayed up for this run. Good luck on your run, Woo. Don't forget to wiggle that butt. Put this $5 towards killing the animals. I'm sure they'd be happy to sacrifice themselves so Samus can go faster.
that puzzle there, that was pretty good RNG. Those puzzles, each of the quarters of the puzzle will need to be hit between 1 and 3 times. So the picture you make is the same every time, but the number of hits required is different.
So what I just did in those vortexes is a small skip. There are 2 bigger skips using them later in the labyrinth.
Those spinners are a major puzzle element for this dungeon. They can only be entered in genie form. If you're shapeshifted, they'll ignore you.
And we have a $5 donation.
Wow.
From Robert Wildsmith. He says, I noticed this game on the 3DS eShop, but I've never actually been bothered about getting it until now. Thanks so much for showing us a great hidden gem. Also, is the 3DS version slower than the Game Boy Color version?
No idea.
We haven't, huh? We haven't really looked into that. This is played on an actual cartridge. The cartridges for this game usually go for about $300. I found a steal on Amazon for $150, and I was also going to be running this game, but and I agree with this decision. A race was going to be a bad idea because this game is kind of obscure and needs pretty detailed commentary. So,
so you
Wu
can
was
move.
looking to-
You can move before the screen fully loads,
Yeah.
and if you do, you can avoid getting hit in that room. I jumped a little too early and I bonked my head. So this is a really big skip. It doesn't really look like it, but I just skipped like
in
a
order to
really
do-
long room.
Yeah, leaving the spinners, you'll have the same airspeed as when you entered the spinners. So he has to be at running speed when he jumps into that one to make that. And this skips a lower section, which means he skipped killing one of those ice block enemies.
Which skips a transformation.
It saves quite a bit of time.
It adds up.
Also, monkey form here is pretty convenient, as you may have noticed earlier in the first dungeon, crawling in this game is really slow, so monkey gets through this, like, the crawl space under that floor really a lot faster than genie form would be able to.
Even with the 7-second penalty from transforming. Oh, that one didn't hit me. Well, this is another skip.
Crash against the wall, skip part of the puzzle.
Now we get our
And-
final transformation, arguably one of the most powerful.
This form does not have the 2-speed that the rest of the forms of Shantae have. This one
Spider
accelerates.
has 2 speeds.
Huh?
Spider has 2 speeds.
No, it has 1. A bad one. But Harpy form has an accelerating to left or right, so it feels kind of heavy.
And yes, if you're going to make Flappy Bird jokes, I'm sorry, they've already all been made.
But that won't stop people from making them.
At this point in the dungeon, we would normally need 2 more keys. One of them is all the way on the other side of the dungeon, though. One of them is nearby, but the other one is a long way back.
It's
near
way in the
start
top
of dungeon.
right, and we're in the bottom left.
We used to use an Exa candy to get back there, but instead,
We have
a neat little trick was handed to us by the task community.
and we'll see it right after I get this key.
Nice freeze frame there. This trick requires 2 forms to execute and a 3rd form to be useful.
So, I'm kind of stuck in the wall now, guys.
Monkey form is required to get in this 1 block gap and then unshift so your head
This
is in the
trick
ceiling.
doesn't work on every 1 block gap in
Yeah.
like other labyrinths. It's something about these blocks
Mm-hmm.
that's special.
And you need spider form because it's 2 blocks wide to kind of continue the chain. And then you need harpy form to navigate out of bounds because there's no floors out here.
And if you fly too high or go too low, there's like this weird imagery that looks like Missing No from Pokemon. And if you touch it, you hard lock the game.
It white screens. And actually, it's kind of dangerous to do that trick unless you're paying close attention because each shape-shifting dance requires you to use a down input first after pressing select to enter dance mode. And down also makes you crouch. So if you press select too early and you don't notice and you go for a down input, you'll crouch while you're in the wall, which traps you in a crouch, which means you can't dance. You can dance if you want to, but you can't dance while you're in the wall. So your only option is to go all the way out of bounds and fall into a hard lock.
So I missed an easy glitch there where like you get you get genie form while you're still an animal and her like skin gets all gray and red. We call it cyborg Shantae. It usually happens, but sometimes it doesn't.
We can also make it happen on the last boss if we had the harpy talon or the monkey claw, which we're not going to get. So it's too bad we didn't get to show that off. But if you play this game, go get the monkey claw or the harpy talon and beat the tinker tank with it. you will be in cyborg form for the final boss permanently. And the reason that happens is because the game remembers to put you back in genie form, but it keeps you in the animal form's color palette. All the animal forms have a common color palette, and it makes Shantae's skin gray, her hair brown, and her clothes yellow.
So this boss actually has a name. This is the Rathalos, and the little guy on top of it is called Cha-Cha.
Good fight.
I got hit once. He didn't get away.
And that's all 4 dungeons. Shantae has now all the 4 relics that Risky was after. What could possibly go wrong?
I know. We have the nice genie waiting outside to help us. Oh,
Now, how could we possibly have seen that coming?
everything I know is a lie. I'm never gonna trust people again.
Yeah, so we just played into the hands of the villain. And now she's gonna go make that doomsday weapon that she's been planning all along.
So this part of the game's pretty cryptic. Shantae says, hey, I should go see Mimic back at the starting town. And if you go talk to Mimic, he's just like, I don't really know where you should go. Just look around in high places. And you're like, well, thanks, Mimic. So you just kind of fly around randomly until you find where you need to go.
This is the second time we use the dance to Oasis Town. That's why we learned this dance, because it's useful twice and saves 2 large sections of overworld backtracking, whereas learning any other dance would save you 1 section.
So if you talk to a bunch of NPCs in towns, they'll talk about this magical spy scope that can find any place and also send you there. If you don't talk to NPCs, though, you'd never get that hint and just kind of be confused.
Am I good to read some donations?
Yeah, go ahead and read some donations, man.
Alright. We have $5 from Shy Ranger, and he says, pickles. We have $10 from Larry Hastings. He says, give me that Shantae perler. Maybe. Also, they want $1,400 for new Shantae cartridge on Amazon right now. We have $10 from Rupee Clock. SGDQ has been helping my week at work go quicker. It's too bad SGDQ had to come before my next paycheck, or I would have donated more. Shoutouts to Way Forward and also Yacht Club Games for the wonderful indie titles they produce. Amen.
Yeah, I mentioned the game usually goes for $300. That's just the cartridge. If you have a full boxed copy,
That's
expect
sealed.
to get $2,000 for it. Maybe so.
So this is Risky's steampunk lair, where she's been building lots of steam-based weaponry. There's a lot of really advanced things for the Game Boy Color's hardware, again, because this game came out a year after the Game Boy Advance. So you'll see parallax, overlays, a lot of lag sometimes.
Which is bad for us.
And some dropped inputs in one section that's very difficult. Probably the most difficult section of the run, but it's very short. So I'm also really low on health. I should have picked up the safety heart. There's a bunch of checkpoints in this level though, so.
If you die, you don't go all the way back. There's places where the game will just put you back.
Gotta go fast.
And one of them is coming up here.
We have $10 from Timothy Buckland. Shantae owns. Thanks for running it. Donation to Runner's Choice.
Here's the bad part. You're supposed to do this section as Spider, but that would be very, very slow. And flapping with the harpy, as he said, dropped inputs here, so he could fall onto the spikes if the game decides to drop his inputs. So he clusters flaps together so that if one flap fails, the next one will catch him. And that went very well. That's a very common place to die, and we want as many spare lives there as possible. Pretty safe since he had 3 left.
We have a $25 donation from Rain Smith. Extremely cool seeing Shantae get so much getting so much attention. Loving seeing how it plays on a thought-out route. Belly dance those monsters into submission.
Okay. the boss coming up, the Tinker Tank, is very long since we don't have the monkey claw. You have to go through a lot of narrow passages and then hit gears, so he has to use the monkey form to get through those narrow passages and then shift out of monkey form to use the hair whip. If he had monkey form, this boss would go a lot faster.
All right, so this is the final stretch.
Yeah, monkey
We've
claw.
got to fight the giant steam-powered tank, and then we have to fight Risky. And then we have a super hard auto-scroller, and then we're done. But this first fight against the tank is really slow because, again, we don't have a monkey claw or harpy claw because they'd be 10 seconds slower over the entirety of the run. So there's just a lot of untransforming. There's a little tech where you have to break objects, and once you break the objects, it does a little cutscene where you can't do anything. But if you're quick enough, you can start dancing before the cutscene actually triggers, and so you can transform during the cutscene, which saves a significant amount of time. There's 6 times you can do that.
To shapeshift, you have to be in a standing animation, which means it'll take a moment after landing from a jump before you'll be able to shapeshift. So he wants to hit each of these things as low in the descent of his jump as possible to land as soon after it as possible.
Barely
Two
got that
so
one.
far? Good. Aw, no, that's not one of them. I forgot.
I'd like to point out that Shantae could have stopped this whole fiasco if she just hair whipped one of the magical relics 5 times.
3 for 3 on the quick transforms. That was one of the hard ones just now. 4 for 4. This fight is long and tedious, but optimizing it with these quick transforms is actually pretty difficult. There's 5 for 5. This last one is the hardest. It's only a few frames. Getting all 6 is really rare on this boss.
So this
That
is
was
also
really
a new
good.
trick that we found
Yeah.
earlier today again.
This is another oversight. We used to jump and hit from below. Really dumb. The Harpy Claw, the Harpy Talon can kill that core in 2 hits instead of 20.
Okay, so the R in RNG stands for risky. Hopefully we won't find out that, but
Yeah, this is the biggest load of RNG in the game.
I switched to my attack item before the cutscene ends, so I have more time to pull it out, depending on what she does.
Risky takes 28 hits, and every source of damage will give her 1 damage. It doesn't matter what weapon you use, so we use fireballs because they have the most convenient pattern,
Oh no, okay.
and she's trolling.
She hasn't used any of her super long attacks though. And she gave me a double
she
hit.
has a bunch of different attacks. She also has an air dash and a blunderbuss-like weapon.
She's used the short one 3 times.
Yeah,
That's really lucky.
she's being kind.
She's being really nice.
After 18 hits, her hat will come off, and then she gets a lot less threatening. She loses her most time-wasting attacks.
Oh no, the
there's
RNG
one of
gun.
One?
One, just one.
Okay.
Not 18.
Yeah, she can shoot that gun as many times as she wants before becoming vulnerable again. There goes the hat. 8 more hits. 5.
Oh. She's invincible every time she's
4,
attacking.
3. Nice. 1 more. There we go.
All right, so now for the really hard auto-scroller.
That was an amazing risky fight, by the way.
They don't usually go that well.
Huh?
So get ready on time. It's right after this. There's a sound cue after this auto-scroller. Very difficult. You know what, Johan, I don't think I can do it. You want to play?
Okay. I don't know if I can do this. I kind of need 2 controllers. Is this how I hold it?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, this might rarely damage you when you're sitting on the right side. But even if he had no health left, it wouldn't really be that threatening.
This is going to be co-op world
Time is
record.
coming up here. Time is coming up when he exits this on a music cue.
I'll put Johan on the schedule.
Time.
Wow.
That's the 4th fastest time.
You've gotten sub 111, what, once?
Once, and it wasn't recorded.
Yeah, so that was a really,
we're
really
underestimate,
strong run.
so can we play the credits?
Is there something special to the credits?
It's just
amazing
really
music.
good music.
Sure, if
The
you
best
want.
music in the game. This is
And, I mean, yeah, if you want closure to the plot, for saving the world, the genies offer Shantae to turn Shantae into a full genie, but at the expense of not being able to interfere with the regular world anymore. She'd have to go live in Genie Land, where she can meet Robin Williams. She says no, because she'd
She wants
rather
to
help
go
her
hang out with
friends,
her friends.
and there couldn't be a sequel if she said yes. 2002. And the sequel came out like in 2009.
Oh, really?
It was a very long period of WayForward working on other titles. They didn't have the time or resources to work on their own IPs for a while. Yes. It's on iOS and 3DS and DSi eShop, and it should get a Steam port soon, hopefully. And the 3rd game's coming out at the end of the summer for 3DS and Wii U. We don't know yet.
it hasn't been released. It'll be released soon.
You do get to equip the RNG
very
gun.
soon.
Make it feel like a butt wiggle.
So Shantae also decides to tell the mayor of Scuttletown that she's not a full genie, but he tells her that he doesn't care because she saved the world and did her job even though she wasn't a full genie. But he does ask for half price. I think it's fair.
Mimic is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Apparently Mimic's a beast if you read any of like the character descriptions, but he never does anything in the games.
He gets kind of a role in the second one.
He gets mugged. That's
Yeah.
his role in the second
Yeah.
one.
Poor guy.
So our current donation total is $196,103.59. So we're getting really close to that 200,000 mark, you guys.
Unlike a Metroid, this game doesn't require you to go fast to give you a beanie.
The second game does require you to go fast, though, if you
And
want
here we
the
have
different ending screens.
Jake Kaufman's finest work, the credits music to Shantae. Beautiful song. Yeah. Well, we get a golf clap for that? Yeah, but to put things in perspective, that run was probably, what, 40 seconds slower than your unrecorded PB?
Yeah. About.
That was really strong. The RNG was very cooperative in that run, especially the final boss. The final boss controlled very, very hard sometimes.
So that was Shantae by Wuqinglong. And coming up next is Trip World by Walconut.
Awesome. Stick around, it's gonna be good. Yeah. Trip World is another very expensive title for
Link.
the Game Boy.
Link's
Yes,
Awakening.
it's very rare. Yeah. This is the way forward / expensive games block.
And just hold on while we have a quick commercial break.
So who do you think has the more expensive cart?
Be really quick for that.
Enjoy that.
Well, I know, I'm going to stick around for trick work first. What is it?
So for those of you just joining us, this is Summer Games Done Quick 2014. If you want to promote us, use the hashtag SGDQ2014. And this event is hosted by Speed Demos Archive and Speedruns Live. Speedruns Live is a premier community for video game speedruns. Through extensive planning, practice, and knowledge of game mechanics and glitches, there are speedruns of over 1,000 games on the website, and Speedruns Live is the best site to race video games online against each other. Players of all skill levels are welcome, whether you're trying to learn how to play